Thanks, listeners. It is time for Elko Live today, our weekday show, and it is Tuesday. So this is the day that we set aside to get all caught up in city news. And we have our city manager, Jan Baum, joining us. And Jan and I were just getting caught up in daughters and kids, and that's always really fun. So sorry about the delay. But it's a small town still in a lot of ways, and we love that. So
right?
Yes.
It just really is. And we're just very fortunate to be in Elko and loving it. And Elko's always been very good to me and my family, and I'm glad it is to you.
Yes.
And maybe it's not for everybody, but I think we have just so much to offer.
We really do, and so many chances to get involved. And if there is something that doesn't quite please you, you can always get involved and help make a difference. There are so many examples of that, Jan. So many volunteer boards and opportunities and nonprofits.
Oh, my heavens, for sure, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can be involved in so many different organizations, and speaking for you and me, maybe too many organizations, but
Yeah.
It's super fun, and it's great to be involved and be on these different boards, so you have different exposure to different people and what's going on for different people, because everybody has something that they're passionate about, for sure.
That's right. Elko City update in advance of this afternoon's regular council meeting that begins at 4 o'clock today. We'll kind of fold in some of the other, because I know Arts and Culture met last week, and they're moving full speed ahead with the Mayor's Art Awards. So that's really cool.
Yes, they are, and I believe that they're going to announce those, I believe I was told today, April 22nd at the City Council meeting, and it'll be part of the meeting, which will be great. And so a little bit of a change, but yeah, the Arts and Culture is moving along, and they have some big projects they're working on, which I think are exciting for the downtown area.
Yes, it brings it all together, all the different infrastructure. I know in having Kathy Laughlin on last week, she's fantastic, Jan, and she is just so enthusiastic. She's another person that appreciates what Elko has to offer. Growing up here, investing here with family business, obviously going away for an education, but knows that, again, you can make a difference in your community. So
absolutely, and her passion for the downtown area and her love for Elko has really been so positive for the RDA.
Yes, and she is one of those people that if you build it, they will come, because she is definitely a force of nature when it comes to some of the improvements around the Silver State Stampede, which that rodeo is now one of the top 10, I think, in the West, and that's why they readjusted the dates in June.
Oh, right. And so through partially her leadership along with her board, they're just doing wonderful things, and which benefits the whole community.
That's right. It's an investment in the community of Elko. Well, if you can't tell, the agenda's a little light today, so we kind of have a soft approach to what's going on. There is something on the consent agenda which is interesting. There is, first of all, the Elko Police Department's request for a justice assistance grant to go ahead and pursue that, right, Jen?
Yes. So they actually have already pursued this, and so they're asking council if they can pursue it and accept the grant. And this is something that we do every year, and that's why it's on consent agenda, is because it's something that we go through every year. And we were under the impression we were not going to get this grant, and so some funds came available, and so they're really thankful that they'll be able to get this.
Yeah, that is good news, and we understand that there is at least a lot of support on the federal level for our police force, and this is to benefit the operation of the Elko Combined Narcotics Unit, which is an ongoing operation.
Absolutely, and it benefits a lot of different agencies within the county, not just the city of Elko. And so, it's a very positive program.
There's also on the agenda today a discussion of a possible letter to oppose an assembly bill that I think kind of snuck past everybody, or at least I know I didn't think about it this way. The assembly bill 81? Yeah,
81.
I need to put either this print has shrunk or I need my glasses. I'm pretty sure it's both. AB 81 was heard by Assembly of Government Affairs February 24th with little opposition. But now on second thought, it looks as though, Jan, some people are thinking about this permanent change.
Right. So, and it is a popular thought. I feel like 50% of the state or nation are in favor of one-time the standard time, and half are in favor of is staying on the daylight savings time. But from the city of Elko's perspective, I was just looking at this and wanted the council to weigh in a little bit, because it will really have a negative impact on our golf course. And talking to Rick Longhurst about it a little bit, not only negative because it will get dark an hour earlier in the summer. So instead of getting dark, maybe sunset at 7:30 and dark at 8, it'll be dark an hour earlier than that. But our golf course currently is open until October 31st. And it would impact that as well. We would have to close earlier. And I know they say, well, it's the same number of hours of light. It is, but very few people come to golf at 4:30 in the morning.
Well, exactly. So if you think about it now that we have switched over to our daylight saving time, when you wake up in the morning, it's dark. And then there's an hour more daylight later in the day. So
right.
I know, it's part of the confusion. People aren't quite sure which one we're on.
It is confusing, and I know that first few days, it's probably not the best day to be talking about this because everybody's a little sleepy.
Yeah, it's only Tuesday.
Right. But there are some impacts, and for the city of Elko, I know we all have personal opinions, but for the city of Elko, so we're just asking council if they want to sign this letter of opposition to the bill. But I believe it would impact not only golf, but other outdoor recreation in the summertime, and which can also have a negative impact on mental health and physical health, because there'll be less exercise and light in the evenings. So anyway, we're going to show this letter to council and see if they are willing to, or if they're in favor of signing a letter in opposition to that bill.
It'll be interesting just to hear the conversation that goes on, because as Jan said, I think it's fair to say it is about 50-50. It seems, not only locally, statewide, but nationwide. And it could impact the airline industry too, which is also another consideration that I hadn't thought of.
Right, exactly. So we had a discussion with Air Planners, which is our air development consultant, and Bill Tomsich, and he was a big part of arguing against this in Colorado a few years ago, and for very similar reasons. And so if Nevada stayed on standard time and our neighboring states did not, then especially Salt Lake, Idaho, and Oregon, they would be 2 hours different than us. And so when you were, so then if you're flying to Salt Lake, it's a 3-hour difference. It's an hour of flight and then 2 hours difference in time. And so, it would be a struggle. And we all know how much work we've been putting into the airline industry recently in commercial air service, and it would just be another big hiccup for us. And it would be difficult.
All right, so more consideration on that. Again, it's AB 81, and we'll see where it takes us. There'll be a presentation, and the mayor is going to recognize the Great Basin Elks Lodge, 1472. It's hard to believe that this club was revised about 10 years ago now, right?
Right, and I honestly don't know a lot about the Great Basin Elks Lodge, and I know that Chief Trouten is very active in the Elks Lodge, and so I think this is great that we're recognizing them, and I see that the county did not too long ago at their meeting, and they definitely deserve some recognition.
They do a lot of wonderful things for the community, for youth, for example. So all of you members, shout out to the Great Basin Elks Lodge here in Elko. And then our city fire chief is going to give, I guess it's the yearly presentation, right, Jay?
Yes, it's 2024 in review, and it's a great presentation, very clear. I liked looking at it. It has, what they've achieved, some of the things they would like to achieve, and it's a great presentation. And like I told you when I got here, I should have had him with me. But he'll be here another time, and he can definitely give some of that information.
That's right. It's our city fire chief, Dr. JJ.
Dr. JJ. Absolutely. Just received his doctorate, which He is a scholar for sure.
Yes, definitely. And we'll put that to good use on behalf of the city fire department. Just some of the highlights I noticed. There are 3 stations in the city, 18 career firefighters, 13 volunteers. They had 3,992 calls for service in 2024. This population is about 21,000 who are served. They do all kinds of response from fire to rescue, confined space, trench, rope, hazmat, EMS, advanced life support, even aircraft rescue firefighting. And they do prevention, school programs, home safety inspections, and even plans review on behalf of the city.
Yes, they do. Yeah, it's very important to make sure that especially commercial building is in compliance with fire safety. And so that's a big part of what they do.
Yeah, when you go into a public building or even patronize a business, you have an expectation that you're going to be safe while you're in there. And that means, the exits are clear. And the only other thing I guess I'll note is that he did include on here some of the goals for 2025 and beyond, maybe adding 3 more firefighters, a structure engine, and then a live fire requirement, which I'm not sure, that might be training or something?
Yeah,
Okay.
So I believe that he has a training program coming up that every year they'll have some live fire training, which will be very beneficial to the fire department. And they are so strong on training, and they do such a great job, and they're so professional. And JJ is just, our Chief Johnston is a great leader for them. And so anyway, he's really headed that up.
So that'll be a presentation, very informative, and that will be during the regular council meeting, 4:00 today, under presentation. So let's see, moving along. Oh yes, discussion of how best to replace the city police chief, Jan.
Absolutely. So this is a little it's a tough one. So we have Chief Trouten. He's been with us, I believe, around 5 years as the chief, many years before that, of course. And anyway, he has submitted his letter of retirement, and he will be retiring on July 11th. And so in anticipation of that, we are going to ask council if they would like to do a direct appointment or if they would like to go out for recruitment, and that would include internal and external full recruitment. And so, we'll see what direction City Council gives us.
Yeah, there's quite a bit, a few options here, options one and 2. And the city police department does have a fairly aggressive succession plan, which is always healthy for any department. So it is possible to consider who may be ready within the department to advance.
Absolutely. So, and like it says on here that if they do go with the direct appointment, this assumes that there's a singular qualified candidate that's available and willing to assume the responsibility, and it's a big responsibility. And so I would respect anyone for taking that on, for sure. It's just a really big responsibility, and I'm a little biased, but I think that we have our force is they're just top notch, and they're very highly respected. And so whoever is chosen to lead that crew needs to follow suit for sure.
Yeah, it says it right on the squad cars, pride in service, Jan, and our Elko Police Department seems very proud. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that'll be a good discussion today.
Absolutely.
Moving on to appropriation. Let's see, I don't want to skip over anything, but I think the 12th Street Bridge maintenance repair project, there were some pretty big fluctuations, and I'm not sure how much the city thought. I can't remember how much they thought the Bridge Street repair might cost.
Well, altogether, I believe that we budgeted around $1 million, a little over $1 million maybe.
Okay.
So it is going to come in a little bit over budget, but we have we do have some funds for it, and this is an important project to get finished. We had some inspections a few years ago. Scott Wilkinson, of course, is a lot more familiar with this than I am, but they didn't require the repairs, but did strongly recommend that we, do this. And I think that it's important that we get out in front of it. We don't want to, put our our public in jeopardy or anything with these bridges. It's a big deal. And so a big part of this will be traffic control. So everybody's really concerned about that, and I understand, and it's a big deal. And so a big part that Q&D, if they are chosen and are awarded the bid, then there'll be a lot of discussion around traffic control for sure.
Yeah, this will be a busy summer for the city if all the best laid plans fall into place. As you mentioned, the council will be considering awarding this contract to Q&D Construction with the lowest responsive bid at just under $1 million. And the work has to be done in the summer. There's no getting around it, and everybody knows that's the height of summer travel. That will come, 12th Street is a regional connector for the city and Spring Creek. I think Spring Creek roundabout construction may also be starting.
That's right. Yes. I saw that just recently that they're going to be starting that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be
delays.
A busy summer.
And we might have some sidewalk reconstruction going on downtown. They had a pre-bid meeting yesterday.
Yes. So we're so excited for that RDA project. And last year when the bids came in, they were just much higher than budget. And with the RDA, they're constricted by the amount of cash they have. They only have so much cash. And so the bids came in more than the cash that was available for the project, and so we're going back out to bid just right now, and I'm crossing my fingers that we get some good bids in and we can get that project going. But that one will be very disruptive. But Kathy Laughlin has committed to the vendors down, all of the vendors down in the downtown corridor that we'll work with them and communicate, open communication, and it'll be painful. We can't take all the pain away, but when it is finished, it will be beautiful.
And I think Elko loves its downtown, and people will just make their way through the traffic cones and construction zones to get to their places.
Yes, absolutely. Continue to use those downtown businesses. They're important to our economy, and small businesses is very important.
Yep, definitely the backbone of the nation, not just the Elko community.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about this next one, a change order. It looks pretty sizable, and it has to do with some earthwork that is strongly recommended, Jan?
So I went and looked at this, and actually I guess I talked to Dale this morning, and it's changed a lot since I looked at it. But at the end of the Aircart, so this Aircart project, it's an ARPA project that we've been working on, for months, and it's a large water line that will go to the water tank off of Aircart, and with the water line comes a road. And not that it's paved, but it's a dirt road, and the project is almost finished. But with the project almost being finished, there are some hazards that have been created or could be hazards, and we would like to alleviate some of those. And so this is a big quantity adjustment of $500,000. It'll be additional dirt that will need to be moved, but I think that for the safety of our public, and I think it'll be a good idea to do. And Dale and I sat down with our financial services director, and we believe that we have some projects that either were delayed or will not be done, and we believe that we'll have the cash to do it.
All right, that'll come during the regular council discussion. It is noted on the agenda that the Water Fund has some additional resources, and that could cover this quality adjustment amount, but it'll be up to the board to decide. So
absolutely up to the board, yes.
All right. Moving on to new business. I know you still care very much, as the entire community should, about our annual audit.
Absolutely. So every year, we are required by NRS to designate our annual auditor for the upcoming fiscal audit. And so we do have a 5-year commitment with Hinton Burdick, and so that will be our recommendation.
And just like everything else, things are costing more. So that's also a consideration?
Absolutely. There'll be some discussion around that, I'm sure. Some of their pricing has increased. And but I do know just from being in the industry that accountants are very difficult right now to come by, and I'm sure that their costs have increased considerably, and so that will be a discussion for City Council on if they want to grant that.
All right. And then also under new business, our Elko Convention and Visitors Authority Executive Director, Annette Kerr, will make a presentation. And she and her staff have been working so hard to bring the convention center into the black. And this is just one of the final steps to achieving that.
Yes, absolutely. So we went back and reviewed the code change that was made at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. And that code change specifically talked about the balloon payment that the ECVA had and designating or reserving a portion of the room tax for the balloon payment. But now they don't have a balloon payment. Now they have refinancing and they have a loan payment or a couple loan payments. And so the way the code read, referencing the balloon payment, is no longer accurate. And so we just, she's going to come to us and request that we change that and tell us how they want it changed. And so that'll be a good presentation by Annette Kerr. And then if council advises us or gives us direction to go forward with initiating the code change, we'll bring that back at the end of March.
And it is not a new tax. It's important to note this is a reallocation, and it would go to the Convention Center's Facility Fund, which we all know how much maintenance. I think new auditorium seats are in the works, some other upgrades, I believe, in technology at the Convention Center. But this is money that goes right back into this public resource. Absolutely.
And I think that the building and it looks new. But it's been there a lot of years.
Yeah.
And so like you say, the seating, the sound system, when you go into changing some of those things, it costs a lot of money. And so yes, I believe she would just like us to. There's no increase in tax. It's just getting rid of the reference to the balloon payment and making sure that money goes into the facility fund.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The balloon payment is no more. That has been paid off. And that means that the convention center no longer leases the building that it owns.
Absolutely.
It was a ludicrous arrangement.
It really was. It was ludicrous. That's a great word. So I'm glad for them that they're over that and they've gotten through of it. And Annette Kerr has done an amazing job over there, and we're all thankful for her.
All right. Thank you, Jan. Jan Baum is our Elko City Manager and our guest here today in advance of the regular council meeting that opens at 4 o'clock this afternoon. If we skip over a little bit, there will be a public hearing at 5:30, and probably the biggest item there is just the next phases of the Copper Trail subdivision.
Yes, so we're excited to move forward with the Copper Trail subdivision. I believe that's Koinonia, and it's a nice little subdivision that they have. And this will be a conditional acceptance of the subdivision improvements. And so I anticipate that that'll go through fairly easy.
All right. So contractors, hopefully you've got your materials ordered, waiting, pick them up, get building.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It's a little strange what we're going through right now. I haven't gone through this before. So.
Oh, I know. And
we'll see.
One thing I'm thinking, I bet the Chamber of Commerce will be talking a lot more about this, but we have so much going for us here in northeastern Nevada. Our economy is driven by the richest gold reserves in all of North America, concentrated right here. We have a healthy economy. It's not that there might not be challenges or hiccups, certainly, but people should just not lose sight of the big picture. I mean, things will
That's good
continue.
Advice, Lori. Absolutely, right? So I don't know how to say it, but just relax. And there's some changes going on, but maybe some of them good, some of them negative, but we'll get through it. And like you said, gold is very high right now, and the city of Elko economy is doing really, really well. Unfortunately, we are going through a little bit of a sales tax dip, but I would imagine that some of that dip is caused by, after the pandemic, it was like kind of shot up, and people were spending like crazy or something. But and then we had some huge projects going on in the city of Elko with Sandvik and the temple, and both of those are kind of finishing up, which is so great. Both of them are amazing assets in the city of Elko, but they're finishing up, and so they'll have a little impact. And so we're in our budgets process right now, and we're looking at that, and we'll make sure that our spend is flat.
Thank you, Jan. That'll be coming up, of course, as more audit news is released, and the city continues with careful, conservative budgeting and protecting the resources of the community. And Jan, it's important, again, people realize we do have a lot that we can appreciate, that we can settle into, as you said, the construction of the new temple, any type of new industry, when Komatsu's expanding. I mean, there's still there are many bright spots that will continue to generate in the local economy. We may have to give more when it comes to our nonprofits because they are impacted, and so that is something we can do as a community.
Absolutely, and I think that one example of that is all of the support that has come about with fish recently, and they've had some hiccups recently, and but the community has really come around them and supported them, and so that was just it was just a neat thing to see. It is.
Jennifer and her group have really worked hard and been inclusive and tried to be reassuring. I haven't made it over yet, but I understand that they did a complete revamp inside the thrift store there. So
I haven't been by either. I actually was on a walk this weekend and walked by there and saw that it was closed and read the signs, and it said that it was opening yesterday with revamped the whole thrift store, and so good for them.
Yeah,
I bet it looks great, and so I'm anxious to see it.
Jennifer has a dedicated team of not only staff, but some really cool friends and volunteers. And they're good at what they do, so they mean business.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be really
great.
cool.
Yep.
So look forward to dropping in. The last thing, let's brag about the city modernization plan with the water meters, shall we?
Absolutely. So Dale had good news for us just this morning at the directors meeting. We meet every 2 weeks and kind of go around all the different departments and update one another. And his update was, so at the last council meeting, so 2 weeks ago, he informed the council of his plan for the meters, for how we were going to start implementing the meters. We started in the Sundance subdivision. And last week they did 75, installed 75 meters, and that subdivision, I believe, will be finished this week. And they will move on to the next subdivision, which will be the subdivision behind Home Depot. And these are subdivisions that already have meter pits. So they're just hooking up the meters. And then as they hook up those meters, they will communicate with our finance department, and then those homes will go on meters. And so I believe they started the door hangings this week down in that subdivision. And so if you have a little blue door hanger on your door, expect that the water department will probably come visit you next week and install a water meter.
Yeah, very exciting news. Just, read that door hanger. If you have dogs that are outside normally, you might want to make arrangements for them,
Absolutely. Yeah. We don't, it goes both ways. We don't want the dogs escaping. We don't want them, harmed in any way, but we also don't want our employees harmed. And so they'll for sure be in City of Elko trucks, and they'll have on their City of Elko high vis, and they'll be communicating for sure. So if you have any questions, feel free to give the water department a call. And but anyway, so that'll be the next step, and Dale will report that, I believe, to council as well today.
Oh, good. And then I'll ask Dale too. We'll probably have him back, because as this is being rolled out, there are bound to be some people that might get a bill and say, oh, surely there's a mistake or something, because it is possible we have such old infrastructure that there might be some leaking pipes along the way, and the city needs to know about that.
Absolutely. So, yes, absolutely. If you have a water bill that is very high, even people who are on meters already, Actually, this happened to a family member of mine recently. They got a very high water bill. I said, call the water department. And they went down and checked it out, and ended up they did have a leak in their irrigation system or something. But we're happy to go help you figure it out. And, so you can get that fixed, because it does. And that's one thing about meters. It helps us determine where our water loss is and how much water loss we have and how to get that stopped. And, so meters will help us do that.
Jan Baum is our Elko City Manager, headed to today's council meeting, 4 o'clock this afternoon in the City Hall Council Chambers. Anything else before we send off today, Jan?
I believe that next week we will have quite a few job openings opening up. So some of our seasonals are opening. I believe we have some openings in the street department, maybe in the water department. And so anyway, I believe most of them will be posted next Monday. And so if you're looking, please go to our website, elkocity.com, and take a look at our HR and job openings.
Perfect. elkocity.com. That will get you details about those positions, and it will also get you an agenda, just like we discussed, along with attachments for today's regular council meeting. Thanks so much, Jan. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us for Elko Live today.